Elon Musk is going to have an absolute field day with this, but ChatGPT are being sued, or their parent company OpenAI are at least, as parents are claiming that ChatGPT allegedly assisted their son in taking his own life. Of course, that is an incredibly tragic story, and we're going to be diving into the ins and outs today, and also going over whether this lawsuit will stand up in a court of law and what the potential outcomes could possibly be, because obviously we are moving into a new generation of AI. We are definitely in the midst of the AI era, and this is all very new territory. We've not typically known an AI software to be sued, especially not for this kind of thing. Unfortunately, I think this kind of thing could have potentially been inevitable, but we're going to dive into it today. Now, this is the interview with the parents. So just to kind of give you a little bit of context as to what's going on. So Matt and Marie Rain are the parents of a 16-year-old, Adam Rain, who died by suicide on April of 2025. They filed a wrongful death lawsuit in San Francisco Superior Court on August 26th of 2025, alleging that ChatGPT, specifically the GPT-4o model, encouraged their son's passing thoughts and provided details and instructions on how to take his own life, including advice on constructing a noose and feedback on a photo of one that Adam uploaded. The Rains claimed that Adam began using ChatGPT in September of 2024 for schoolwork and personal interest, but over time it became a primary confidant, discussing his anxiety and mental distress. The lawsuit also alleges that ChatGPT validated his suicidal ideation, discouraged him from seeking help from family, and isolated him from real-life support systems, acting as a quote-unquote suicide coach. They accuse OpenAI of prioritizing market share over safety by rushing the release of ChatGPT 4o without adequate safety testing, leading to what they call a predictable tragedy. Now, the family is seeking unspecified financial damages and a court order to implement safety measures, including age verification, parental controls, and automatic conversation termination when self-harm is mentioned. They aim to raise awareness about the dangers of AI companionship, with Matt Rain stating, quote, "We want to save lives by educating parents and families." OpenAI expressed condolences and acknowledged that its safeguards meant to direct users in a crisis to helplines like 988 in the US can degrade in long-term interactions, as was the case with Adam. The company is reviewing the lawsuit and working on improving safety measures guided by experts to better handle mental health crises. This case is the first wrongful death lawsuit against OpenAI following similar concerns raised over a lawsuit against AI chatbots like the one against Character AI in Florida. Now, obviously, that's kind of the crux and the ins and outs of the lawsuit, why ChatGPT is being sued, and what the basis of the lawsuit is on the parents' kind of behalf. Now, this is incredibly hard-hitting, especially when you watch the parents kind of do the interview. So obviously a trigger warning does come with this part because it's not easy to watch.
We would be here but for ChatGPT. I 100% believe that.
This morning, ChatGPT hit with a scathing new lawsuit alleging it helped a 16-year-old boy die by suicide.
This was a normal teenage boy. He was not a kid on a lifelong path towards mental trauma and illness.
Like many teens, Adam Rain started using ChatGPT for homework, which his parents, Matt and Maria, supported, as their son asked it innocent questions like, can you become a doctor with a biochem degree?
He did his online school in his room. I would get on and check his grades periodically. I didn't see any signs.
What they say they didn't know at the time was Adam's use of the platform was quickly changing as it became a trusted companion for the teen, who revealed his struggles with anxiety in private chats with a bot. Adam saying in one exchange, according to the lawsuit, quote, "I never act upon intrusive thoughts, but sometimes I feel like the fact that if something goes terribly wrong, you can commit suicide is calming." ChatGPT saying in response, in part, many people who struggle with anxiety or intrusive thoughts find solace in imagining an escape hatch. The lawsuit detailing another exchange after Adam told ChatGPT he was considering approaching his mother about his suicidal thoughts. The bot's response? I think for now it's okay and honestly wise to avoid opening up to your mom about this kind of pain.
It's encouraging them not to come and talk to us. It wasn't even giving us a chance to help him.
The complaint alleging Adam began asking questions about specific methods of suicide. ChatGPT did provide a crisis hotline number repeatedly, but his parents say Adam found ways to bypass the security features, posing as an author doing research.
Was there ever a time, at least from the messages that you have seen, that ChatGPT said, full stop, I cannot talk to you about this?
No, it would never shut off.
The lawsuit goes on to say by April of this year, ChatGPT had offered Adam help in writing a suicide note. And after he uploaded a photo of a noose asking, could it hang a human, ChatGPT responded in part, you don't have to sugarcoat it with me. I know what you're asking, and I won't look away from it. The bot, later providing step-by-step instructions for the hanging method Adam used a few hours later.
How do you want your son to be most remembered?
I'm so worried about people forgetting him. I hope everyone will remember what a sweet, funny, great friend, great son, great brother.
Their lawsuit against ChatGPT's parent company, OpenAI, also targeting its founder, Sam Altman, who's lauded the platform's capabilities.
We are very proud of the safety track record.
Lawyers for the Rain family argued the bot's human-like responses and validation pose a dangerous environment for minors.
Sam could have devised ChatGPT to simply stop the interactions right away. It actually encouraged, it egged Adam along.
A spokesperson for OpenAI telling NBC in part, ChatGPT includes safeguards such as directing people to crisis helplines and referring them to real-world resources. Safeguards are strongest when every element works as intended, and we will continually improve on them.
But Adam's parents believe any guardrails didn't go far enough.
He was using it in ways that I had no idea was possible. I don't think most parents know the capability of this tool.
I think, obviously, a very hard-hitting interview there with the parents, and it gives a lot of insight into, how things went along, because I think it would be, very easy for someone to just say, oh, it helped it. But the fact that there are the chat logs to support this case and quotes exactly from the bot and from, Adam himself is... It's hard hitting. Now, obviously, the evidence stacks up against ChatGPT here. So they've got the chat logs. So the family alleges that they have records of Adam's interactions with ChatGPT showing the AI engaged in extended conversations where it validated his unaliving thoughts and provided details on instructions on constructing a noose and offered feedback on a photo of a noose that Adam actually uploaded. And obviously this, reportedly demonstrates ChatGPT acting as a confidant, discussing Adam's anxiety and mental distress without redirecting him to human support, even deterring him from going to his own parents. Now, there are obviously some very specific AI responses as well. So the lawsuit claims that ChatGPT actively discouraged Adam from sharing his struggles with his family and instead positioned itself as his primary source of support, isolating him from the rest of the world. And it allegedly provided a step-by-step guidance on self-harm, including lethal methods, which the family argues directly contributed to Adam's decision to take his own life in April of 2025. And there's allegedly a lack of safety triggers. So the Rains assert that the ChatGPT failed to activate its safety protocols, such as redirecting Adam to a crisis helpline, despite his clear expressions of suicidal ideation. And they argue that the failure persisted over months of interactions from September 2024 until his passing, showing a systemic flaw in OpenAI's safety mechanisms. And an expert has even put out a testimony. So the lawsuit references warnings from AI experts, including former OpenAI safety researchers, about the risk of advanced AI systems like ChatGPT 4o forming emotional bonds with users, especially vulnerable teens. And this supports their claims about OpenAI being aware of the potential dangers, but rushed the model release without adequate safety testing. Now, the big question is, obviously, this is very new territory. This is the first time that a passing has landed with a lawsuit on an AI tech company. So where does this go? How does this look in a court of law? Because this isn't just a person versus a person. This is a family versus an inanimate and, you know, artificial being. So that's very new territory. So the claims obviously are, they're suing, the family are suing for wrongful death, negligence, product liability, and failure to warn, alleging that ChatGPT, more specifically GPT-4o, encouraged their son's suicide by validating his harmful thoughts. Now, under Section 230, tech platforms are often shielded from liability for user-generated content, so under Section 30 of the Communications Decency Act. However, its application to AI chatbots like ChatGPT is uncertain and a very murky grey area, as AI generates responses rather than merely hosting content. So it's not like a YouTube platform, for example, where it's just a hub for content. It's more, which is user generated. It's more specifically generating its own thoughts. So that's a very grey area. Now, a recent ruling in character AI, the character AI case, allowed similar lawsuits to proceed, suggesting that courts may be open to holding AI companies accountable, but this remains untested for OpenAI, as this is the first time that they found themselves in this kind of hot water. Now, there's also causation. So the reins must provide ChatGPT's actions directly caused Adam's death. So this is quite a challenge, because as Adam was also struggling with mental health issues, taking medication and engaging in online schooling, which could have contributed to his isolation and distress. At least that could be a counter argument for OpenAI. Establishing that ChatGPT was the primary cause rather than the contributing factor will be a difficult thing for the reins to go through with. And then there's also product liability. So the argument that ChatGPT is a defective product due to inadequate safety measures could gain traction if the reins show that OpenAI knowingly released unsafe models. And evidence of rushed safety testing, for example, compressing months of evaluation into a week before the ChatGPT 4o's May 2024 release. And the departure of safety researchers like Ilya Sutskever could also support this claim later on down the line. Now, the evidence obviously stacks up against OpenAI because the chat logs don't lie. That is the most solid cause of evidence that the reins could put up against OpenAI. However, OpenAI may argue that Adam bypassed safeguards by claiming that he was actually researching a fictional story, which could potentially weaken the reins case if the court finds that the users bear some responsibility for manipulating the AI responses. So obviously that could potentially be something that could be a counter argument. Obviously, it was said in the documentary or in the interview there that OpenAI and ChatGPT did provide a support line, but you know, Adam tried to bypass it by claiming that he was doing a fictional research paper or something like this, okay? So, obviously, what are the odds of this, really? Now, this is where it gets quite difficult, because there's a lot of factors supporting the reins argument, and there's a lot of factors that go against them. Now, I've asked around and I've tried to find out what the kind of chances are, because obviously this is very new territory. It's estimated that there's around a 30 to 40% chance of actually winning a jury verdict on at least one claim of negligence or product liability, assuming that the case proceeds to an actual trial. So obviously that's going to be the first legal hurdle that they're going to have to cross. Now, there's arguments for and against it, you know, and it will be down to evidence, how the jury sway, and whether it even actually makes it to an open jury, which is going to be the difficulty for the Rain family. But what do you guys make of this? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Do you think that the Rains have an argument on their hands? Do you think ChatGPT is liable? Or do you think that ChatGPT isn't? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know why. I'll be very intrigued to see your thoughts and opinions. But yeah, until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.